could you please introduce yourself to the camera?
Sure. My name is Dr. Andrew Leising, and I'm a research oceanographer, and I work for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And that's our symbol that I'm wearing on my shirt.
And what does that have to do with your research, climate change?
Climate change is very important for my research because as the Earth is warming, the ocean is also warming, and that directly affects the fish and all the organisms that live in the ocean. And one of our jobs for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is to try to make predictions about how climate change will affect eventually how many fish are going to be available for people to harvest and to eat.
Is that exactly what the organization you work for does? Or does it do other things?
Well, NOAA has two branches. They have one branch that does weather. Okay, so all the weather forecasts you see on TV are done by people who work for NOAA. And then the other branch works with fisheries, and that's the part that I'm in. So our whole job in the fisheries branch is to make sure that basically there's enough fish for everyone to eat, and that the ocean is managed properly to basically preserve it for future mankind.
Is NOAA in other parts of the country or in other parts of the world?
NOAA is just for the United States, and yes, it is all over the entire United States.
Do you think global warming is a natural cause, or do you think it mostly comes from people?
Global warming comes from people, and we have the overwhelming majority of evidence that can prove that it is from people. One of the number one ways we know is because we've had direct measurements now since the early 1940s. At the top of a dormant volcano in Hawaii, they measure the air, okay, and they measure the air constantly. And what's really interesting is that when people burn fossil fuels, like the stuff coming out of your car, it has a different chemical signature in the carbon dioxide than normal carbon dioxide that's formed from just normal processes on Earth. So you can take a bunch of air and you can measure it and say how much of the carbon dioxide in the air comes from things that man is doing and how much of that carbon dioxide is coming from natural processes. And we've been measuring that since the 1940s. So we have a really clear idea of how much of the carbon dioxide increase in the atmosphere, which is causing global warming, we talked about, right? How much of that carbon dioxide is coming from mankind's activities. So we know exactly how much is coming from mankind, and we know that that's what's causing the warming that we're seeing now. So we have direct, measurable proof that mankind's activities is causing an increase in carbon dioxide, and the increase in carbon dioxide is causing the warming.
So this is a kilowatt meter. And so what the kilowatt meter does exactly is you plug in the device charger or the charger of the thing, like your phone or your computer or something else. And so it detects the CO2 or slash the carbon dioxide of the, and it detects the CO2 or the carbon dioxide of the computer or the phone or anything else you plugged it into. Global warming is caused by several things, which include man-made anthropogenic causes, and global warming is also caused by natural causes. Natural causes are causes that are created by nature. One natural cause is a release of methane gas from Arctic tundra and wetlands. The temperature of the Earth is rising with nearly twice the rate it was 50 years ago. The rapid rate and pattern of warming, scientists have concluded, cannot be explained by natural cycles alone. The only way to explain the pattern is to include the effect of greenhouse gas emitted by humans.
So my first learning prompt is, can the landforms affect the weather patterns? The answer is, high up in the mountains, the climate may be cooler, while lower in the valleys, the climate may be warmer. Mountain landforms may block rain clouds from entering valleys, and snow may form at the top of a mountain rather than at the bottom of a mountain. Can plants influence climate and weather? The answer is, the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide is taken out of the atmosphere by plants as they make their food by photosynthesis. During the night, plants may release some carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. They take much more carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere than they put in. And the third question is, how does water cycle throughout our planet? The answer is, the Earth's existing water moves around the planet through a complex water cycle. The water cycle is the endless movement of water around the planet. Water changes from liquid to solid to vapor as it moves from place to place on the Earth's surface, in the atmosphere, and underground.
Okay, my name is Brandon Dillon. I'll be telling you how the sun influences climate and weather. The sun influences the climate and weather by evaporation. This happens by when water turning into a gas and rises into the air, and each gas keeps adding up until it turns into a cloud, but the cloud gets heavy over time and then it starts to rain, and this happens over and over. How does the ocean influence climate and weather? Answer: the ocean influences the climate and weather by ocean currents coming in from hotter climates or colder climates, and they are put in places all over the world. How does the third question: how does the atmosphere influence climate and weather? Answer: the Earth's atmosphere is made out of these gases: 71% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% water vapor, argon, carbon dioxide, and ozone. The climate and/or weather rises when the more carbon dioxide fills in our atmosphere. How does ice influence climate and weather? Answer: the ice melts because of global warming and more evaporation, which is more water, and we have already built big buildings off the coastlines all over the world. But since more water or evaporation, then more water comes in from around the world and floods, which can reach almost 10 feet tall.
Okay, so today we measured the amount of watts that are in common household appliances or electronic devices. And so you might, looking at this tiny kilowatt meter that can measure so many things, it makes you wonder how could this benefit other people? And it can in some specific ways. You might think this is a lot, but it's a lot for tiny things. Like the computer is a lot bigger than the phone, but the phone uses lots of energy. So you might want to like turn your phone off so that it doesn't burn out your money. But this is only 4 household items in a house full of lots of stuff that uses lots of electricity. So like you shouldn't really worry about this because
It helps you know how much carbon dioxide you are releasing into the atmosphere.
Okay.
and it comes in 5 payments of 1,000 nickels.
How much does it cost?
Well, can you really put a price on saving the environment?
Well, no, not really.
Well, if you could, it would cost $5.